all countries should condemn terrorism, and there should be no double standards. In that he was essentially targeting China in that, because this particular summit is important and significant at this point because it shows India's strategic autonomy at its best.
Prime Minister Modi hosted the summit of SCO Council of Heads of State in virtual mode on Tuesday, with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Pakistan's Shehbaz Sharif also in attendance. Indian Express's Shubhajit explains the key takeaways and more on the meeting.
So the SCO meeting took place through virtual format, which was hosted by India. It was supposed to be held in an in-person summit, but then it was changed to a virtual format. It was attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chinese President Xi Jinping, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and other Central Asian leaders. Now, this particular meeting comes at a time when the war between Russia and Ukraine is going on, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine has sort of impacted global security in terms of food, fuel, and fertilizer. And that was one of the major topics of discussion. Almost every country raised those issues. The issue of violation of territorial integrity and sovereignty was also raised by the Indian Prime Minister along with other leaders. Indian Prime Minister talked about the use of terrorism as a matter of policy by some countries. In that, he was targeting Pakistan. He also talked about the fact that all countries should condemn terrorism, and there should be no double standards. In that he was essentially targeting China in that, because China, as you know, has been blocking the listing of terrorists at the UN Security Council. Apart from that, the Indian Prime Minister also he criticized the BRI, essentially talked about the fact that connectivity projects should respect territorial integrity and sovereignty. As you know, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor has been has been an issue of contention because it passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and India feels that it violates India's territorial integrity and sovereignty. So India did not sign off on the paragraph on Belt and Road Initiative in the New Delhi Declaration, while the other countries of SCO grouping, they signed off on that particular paragraph. Essentially, others supported the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative, which is Chinese President Xi Jinping's pet project, whereas India did not. Apart from that, there were paragraphs in the New Delhi Declaration about terrorism, about countering terrorism. In that, there was the unanimity in the fact that terrorism should be condemned in all its manifestations. They all talked about radicalization and extremism, and they also issued a joint statement on de-radicalization. So these were some of the major takeaways from the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit that took place through virtual format and was hosted by India. I think this particular summit is important and significant at this point because it shows India's strategic autonomy at its best. While the Indian Prime Minister was in the US just about a week or two ago, and now he was sitting with the Chinese President and the Pakistan Prime Minister and the Russian President in the same Zoom call, in the same virtual format. Now, this just shows that India is able to do the diplomatic tightrope walk that it has been doing for the last year and a half since the war in Ukraine broke out. And that is one of the big takeaways, the major takeaway from this particular summit that comes out.